Welcome to Beyond Ocean and Maine, MCM's news magazine program. I'm Robert Goitis.
And I'm Sean Leary.
The Veterans Voice Network is a radio show on 95.9 WATD that has helped to raise awareness for the various benefits tailored for veterans.
Both the hosts and the owner of WATD spoke with MCM about the show and how it has impacted listeners.
Veterans Voice radio show was started almost 10 years ago to provide awareness of benefits and programs available to veterans and members of their families. Prior to our show, it was very difficult for veterans to find out what benefits were available, never mind how to apply for them. And sometimes that process was very daunting, and oftentimes benefits would not go applied for just because the veterans and their family members would get frustrated and turn away and not even apply.
Well, when Greg first got on the air, I didn't know what to expect because we'd never done this before. And Greg actually is not a veteran, but he viewed the veterans as people who needed to be positively recognized, who needed to be able to get what they had done for the United States of America out to the people of America.
The reason Greg Brasso started that organization is to hook veterans up with the services that they earned and deserved. So what happens is there's an unlimited amount of veteran services with the government, with the state, with private companies, with nonprofits, and it's impossible to find out what all the services are. Then that's our goal, is to hook up veterans with the services, from jobs to healthcare to mental health to physical health. And it's become something interesting because of the radio show and the networking that happens is all the big dogs in veteran service come on the radio, and one thing leads to another, to another, to another.
The show's format works every week that we have different directors and members of all different programs and benefit providers on our show talking in depth about their programs, what they entail, how to apply, who might benefit from them, and just to create a platform so that these great veterans programs get some awareness that is just not available anywhere else.
It's a lot of fun, a lot of hard work, a lot of sad situations. We're really involved in the suicide prevention situation.
For a number of years, Wolfie and I have been delivering free food at Thanksgiving and Christmas to needy folks. I looked at Wolfie and I said, Wolfie, do you think any of those folks we fed last week are hungry again? And he said, yeah, well, folks do get hungry. And I said, how about if we create a food drive-through program that would allow veterans only at the start to come in and get some food and get some a little bit of food to supplement what they're going to have. Well, that started, and after a few months we decided that the food insecurity problem stretched farther than just the veterans, and it included so many people within the community that we decided to open our drive-through up open to everybody.
The goal, we'd like to think of the network is to bring hope to everybody. So they know that they're not in a hole. They know that they don't have to take the wrong way out, that there's a positive way, and a lot of people who care for them. As Greg says, we all love you out there, and to know that there's people in their corner and that they can go to for all these different situations. So it provides a positive spin to their lives, which usually aren't so positive.
The results have been amazing. That Greg was able to recruit so many people who were either veterans or respected veterans or absolutely loved veterans to come and talk about why it was important to be a supporter and a defender of the population of the United States of America. That remember, you can't necessarily defend every farm. You can't necessarily defend every building, but you can defend the people. And that's what he wanted to do and what he has successfully done.
I think that really most of the 99% of the feedback has been very, very positive of the show, because we're doing some things that other people aren't doing. We're not talking about the same topics over and over again. We're bringing in the experts and the directives of the various programs, and our shows on, unfortunately, veteran suicide, veterans housing, veterans health care. Our show has won over 15 awards of excellence, from the VA to the Commonwealth of Mass Department of Veteran Services.
The way you get thanked, it's almost too much. It's sad. All the stuff that we do with is very sad. And if everybody's fine, they don't need us.
It's brought ideas, it's brought smiles, it's brought questions, questions that haven't been asked before and haven't been answered publicly before. It's the whole idea is that you have to see veterans not as soldiers and sailors and Marines with uniforms on, but as human beings who have decided that they're going to help this country and the people who live here.
I think our show offers a down-to-earth, conversational style show. We're not fancy Emerson graduates. When we started the show, not one of us had any radio experience. So our show is more of just a friendly conversation. So by having that large network of friends and supporters, it really makes it very, very heartwarming to know that we can solve almost every problem that a veteran might incur.
The Marshfield Dog Park was just completed a few weeks ago to create a recreational space for both dogs and their owners.
The Friends of the Marshfield Dog Park gave us insight into how the park functions, how it was fundraised, and what it provides to its users.
The Friends of the Marshfield Dog Park is a nonprofit that was created to privately maintain and improve a dog park here in Marshfield. We're functioning in a similar manner to the Friends of Peter Argo Park, where it's public land and a public park, and they're a group that came together to maintain and improve the space, and we hope to do as good of a job as they've done. So we want the park to be a nice community space for both humans and dogs, and what we're hoping it will function as is a great place for dogs to exercise and socialize off-leash. It's safe to do so. It's a totally fenced and enclosed area, and it's approved for that use. So we hope it's a great community space for people to come together. There's a large dog area and a small dog area as well, so if you're worried about your smaller pooches being safe and all that good stuff, we got a nice separation, plenty of space for them as well.
So our small side is for dogs that are 25 pounds or less, and we have 3/4 of an acre for our small dogs. And our large side is for everybody else, and we have 1.25 acres.
Many years ago, when I was in a different decade of my life, I was on the Recreation Commission in town, and our chair, Gary Pina, was great. He was very proactive, and he wanted each of us to find a project to do in town. And I was watching Parks and Rec at the time when Leslie Knope was on her mission for a public park, and I love dogs, and I'm thinking, I don't think we have a dog park here in Marshfield. And I was reading the Boston Globe one day, and there was an article about the town of Air that was able to build their park with a private grant from the Stanton Foundation. So when I looked into it, it's available exclusively here in Massachusetts, so I thought it would be an easy sell, and here we are 6 years later.
We also have $175,000 from the CPC funding, and this was a town vote that we had to get approval for the new location as well as the CPC funding. So between our Stanton Foundation grant and the CPC funding, we had enough to start construction, and our nonprofit has been fundraising for years as well to privately maintain the park.
So we've had events at Stellwagen where it's a Halloween costume contest for the dogs. We've had a Picture with Santa fundraiser as well at Stellwagen, and those are definitely some of our more fun and well-attended events that people go to. Our other in-person events, we've done silent auctions, we've done a bunch of different raffles and 50-50 raffles. So those are the historical things that we've been doing. Some new things that we're doing to, now that we have the park open, for example, you'll see at the rec baseball fields the signs for different local businesses in town that'll pay to have it up. So we have signs that we're putting together. So far we've had 24 businesses in town buy a sign to sponsor it, and it's going to be a yearly sign so they can re-up each year. When this space became available, it was really sheer luck, and we were thrilled. This used to be the old commuter bus lot that stopped running during COVID, and they decided they weren't going to come back. So suddenly this select board controlled land became available that our town planner Greg Guimont found, and it was so flat and there were so many good things about it that, you know, it seemed like we finally found the perfect spot to end.
There's been so many pieces of land that we were gonna get and then we didn't get, and the fundraising, and we just never gave up. We held on to this dream, and our team of volunteers is closer now than ever before, and we didn't know each other before we started this, so it's been incredible to meet our sponsors, our local business community, but our volunteer team is absolutely thrilled.
Now that the park is opening and our original mission to get it built and, you know, pass through town meeting, we got the votes for it. Now that that first mission is done, now we're going to focus on maintaining the park. So one of the basic things that's, you know, right off the bat is hiring a company to help clean up the park. So we have receptacles throughout the park on different posts, and they're going to fill pretty quickly. And so he's going to come by, empty them out, and then also pick up any waste that gets left behind. The park is fully operational and complete. There are some future improvements that are going to happen. So there's going to be a planting cycle in September and a second planting cycle in April for some trees, and you know, those are the best times of year to do it. You'll see where the tents are now that there's going to be a primer, a heat resistant primer put on the blacktop that's over there. But what's going to be really great is Fred Russell, who's our facilities director, who's, you know, running this project. We're going to get these solar canopies from NextGrid to provide some shade for the park.
Having a designated off-leash place for the dogs to play brings peace of mind to our owners and allows dogs to mingle without the stress of being on a leash. When you have one dog on a leash and the other one's off, it creates a power imbalance, so dogs are much happier to meet each other off leash. I think it brings a sense of peace knowing they can bring them to a fenced-in area and let them run around within a fence.
I think it provides a great opportunity for them to play and get some really rigorous exercise and to socialize as well. And I think for people who live in town who might be mobility challenged or they can't walk their dogs anymore if they're at a certain age, they can take their dogs here, sit on the bench or go on a nice casual stroll and let the dog just run around and get the exercise that it needs. I think it's a great place to create a healthy daily routine, whether you come in the morning before work or you meet up with your friends after work. It's a socialization for the people too. You can get together with your friends and get your dogs together. Get your walks in. I mean, there's a walking trail around the interior of the small dog and large dog area too, so it's great for them to exercise. But also too, you know, from my own experience going to dog parks, you meet really experienced owners and you learn so much about how to be a better owner, how to train them, and different behaviors to look out for.
I think it gives people a designated place to socialize. I think people need a sense of community, and I think after the past few years with the pandemic, people are actively seeking out a sense of community. And so we hope to provide an enjoyable space for our furry friends alike.
What I think is great about this location is this now is a larger family recreational complex. You got the Boys and Girls Club, you got the soccer field, so parents can take their kids to their game or practice and take their dog to the park, so it's just a great place for the whole family from top to bottom.
Marshfield Facts is an organization dedicated to the prevention of youth substance abuse throughout Marshfield.
Board members discuss with us the organization's endeavors, including how it listens to the community.
Marshfield Facts is a community coalition, and the acronym stands for Families, Adolescents, and Community Together Against Substances. The general mission is to prevent underage substance use and promote positive mental health by engaging all facets of the community in that effort.
So we want parents to become aware of kind of the changing landscape of substance use and to prevent adolescents from starting to use substances. So we know the brain science behind addiction is that the longer you can delay the initiation of use, the less chance there is of developing addiction.
We gather members of the community and the agencies in the community in a coalition, kind of hear their experiences, what they think would be positive programming for youth, and We have funded other programs. We've run programs, we've funded other programs in an attempt, like I said, to reach youth with our prevention efforts. We've done programs in the school, and so the programs attempt to, address positive mental health and also prevention by educating them around the dangers of starting to use illicit substances at that age.
There are not very many families that are not touched by substance use. So, and it is important to talk to kids in an age-appropriate way from the time when they can start to understand. And you can just kind of pair it with nutrition, like about being aware of what you put in your body and being safe, and that addiction is a disease and it's not a moral failing and things like that.
We've held programs where people in recovery come in and speak to the students in the school, and many of those have follow-up programs that the schools can implement if they choose to. So I think we kind of pick and choose out of those programs what might be effective. We try to attend a lot of events just to raise awareness and provide literature for families about how to talk to your kids about drugs, how to address it if there's an issue, and just raise the community awareness that this is important to be addressing with our youth. FACTS attempts to just use programs that have some science and evidence behind them. There were two people who started Marshfield FACTS, both of whom are still involved, very involved in FACTS to this day. Jen Cantwell was a parent of a Marshfield Public School student at the time, and Ann Kelly was the school nurse administrator. And they had attended South Shore FACTS meeting and decided to start a chapter here in Marshfield.
I saw a presentation at a PTO meeting about the Youth Risk Behavior Survey, which is an annual survey of risky behaviors. So it's substance use, it also talks about diet and exercise and sexual behaviors, but it's an assessment of kind of the risky behaviors that Marshfield students are participating in, and they were looking for parents to get involved. And I met Ann Kelly. She invited me to go to a meeting that she was going to of South Shore FACTS, which is a regional group doing similar work. And after attending those meetings and doing some kind of one-off events, awareness events, Ann and I decided to start our own coalition. Then in 2015, Marshfield FACTS was officially started as an official organization.
There's actually two annual events that we do. The first one coming up in September is the Marshfield Community Rib Cook-Off, and Marshfield FACTS has been supported by the Rib Cook-Off for several years now. They believe in our mission and, as I said, have financially supported us for several years.
The Overdose Vigil is our biggest event every year. And that happens here at Harbor Park. Mary Price is really the heart and soul of that event. She puts so much into it, but it's a community effort. We work with the town, we work with town administrator Mike Moresco, and with the harbor master Mike DeMeo. And it's really an event to kind of comfort those who have lost someone. It's quite honestly not a prevention event, but it is an important marker of a time to reflect on those lives that we've lost to opioids. The Overdose Awareness Vigil means a lot to people who have lost loved ones. We hear the same thing about the tree here in Harbor Park. Sometimes we don't even know the depths of what it means to people because they're bringing their own meaning to it. And it's such a beautiful spot, and they can come and reflect here. And sometimes those folks were maybe cremated and not buried in a cemetery, and their loved ones don't have a place to go. And so this has become a sacred space of sorts for folks who've lost loved ones. And that wasn't necessarily our intention when we started it, but that's what it became, and it's really meaningful.
It's fabulous that we know for one night they've been understood, they've been supported, they've been validated, their loved ones have been honored, and they're not alone. They're certainly not alone. And the speakers that we have share the reality of substance use disorder, that it's terrible, but that it's also something they didn't choose or they didn't ask for, and it could be your son, your daughter, your neighbor, anyone. So we really try to bring that point home as well. We have people from all facets of the Marshfield community, the Marshfield Police Department, the Marshfield Fire Department, the school department, private programs working with youth, families, and we hope to build a stronger youth coalition.
We really do operate as a community coalition, so we like to get input from everybody that comes to the meetings. We like to say, like, if you come with an idea, we'll try to make it happen. We're always looking for new ideas. If somebody has an idea of how to reach, particularly middle school parents, we would love to hear that. It is truly a community project. It's a community effort. So it's not one person, it's not even the 4 people on our board. It only works because we have a great relationship with the schools, and particularly the middle school, and because we have a great relationship with the police and town, like I said, town administrator and the harbor master. I think that it truly is a community effort, and that's what makes it work.
The original Brant Rock Village Association is a community of dedicated individuals that have promoted civic engagement throughout its respective area for the past 40 years.
Leading figures within the organization spoke with us about the changes that the association has brought to Brant Rock and its overall impact on the community.
The original Brant Rock Village Association is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and our real focus is we're a neighborhood association trying to improve the Brant Rock community.
So our mission really is to bring back the vitality that was in Brant Rock, and the way that we do that is by, again, working very closely with the residents, with the merchants, with essential services, with Town Hall, in concert to ensure that we're all kind of moving in the right direction. And we're taking on projects that are reasonable, and we have the backing from the residents, we have the backing from the town, and more of an outreach to a lot of our businesses as well, and really welcoming them and embracing them into our effort.
We accomplish this mission really through beautification of the community, safety of residents and visitors that come here, and improved education and communication with residents, local businesses, and town government.
Education is the key to fulfilling our overall mission. Making people aware and helping them to understand the possibilities of correcting, improving, or changing situations is what it's really all about. Brant Rock has always had a diverse population. It has been socioeconomically diverse. It has large homes, small homes. It has elderly, it has youth. So that combining that mixture to make a cohesive group has always been an important element of our organization.
We have regular communication with the community, all the members of our association. We have monthly newsletters we send out. We have quarterly meetings, either through Zoom or in-person meetings, depending on the time of year. And then we have a big annual meeting every year to make sure that we're able to reach out and touch people as much as possible. So far we've installed American flags on 25 poles in the Esplanade section, working with the town of Marshfield to get their approval, and with Verizon, who owns the poles, to get their approval. So that was a big project that we're very proud of. This past November, we held our first annual turkey trot, which was a race of sorts, not a competitive race, but really a walk to engage the community. We have an incredible team of people, all deeply committed to the Brant Rock community, all from various backgrounds and people that are bringing their time, treasures, and talents to the task at hand.
So some of the feedback that I've received from both residents and merchants is that it's truly a welcome change. They really feel now that they have an ally in the community, and they also feel like their concerns are being listened to, and that there's much more of an open dialogue between the merchants and community itself.
They also see us out gardening. We try to make the Esplanade area down there look good. Our garden committee, headed up by Marion Killian, is outstanding. She works her tail off Saturday mornings at 7:30 or Sunday mornings at 7:30, sometimes both. When everybody else is still asleep from the night before, she's down there watering or weeding. She's also helped over at Harbor Park, as a number of us have, and being visible, so as people are driving by and walking by and bicycling by, when they see us, that really helps connect the work we're doing with the neighborhood.
Living right on the Esplanade as I do, there's a foot traffic that goes by all the time, and people are regularly commenting over my fence to what they're seeing and the improvements they're witnessing. As you look around the community, the interplay of all of the different politics and characters continue to make this a marvelous place to live. It's not static, it's not one type. It's a clear mix of the Marshfield area, and what was a fishing village still exists. The fishermen that live here, the town employees that live here, as well as all of the residents, all joining together to continue the glory of what was once and historically a very prominent place.
So what I'm most proud of with the original Brant Rock Village Association is we have 7 people that are just completely dedicated towards bringing together the community, bringing together the residents, the merchants, town hall, essential services, right? It's very, very important that we do that. All 7 of us have different strengths. We seem to work very well together, and the things that we're taking on and how we are dealing with the residents, how we're dealing with the public. This is a unique community where you have basically the whole spectrum of people that live here, and it's tough to keep a community together when you've got people out on the water at 5 a.m. and you've got people going into the city and you've got people working in town and things of that nature. The schedules are all over the clock, so I think it was very important to get this association together and have a central way of communicating what we're doing in the community and how we're progressing on key issues.
I'm hoping what we're bringing is a sense of revitalization and kind of reconnecting people to the pride that they already have for the community. You know, Brant Rock is a very special place. I've said this before, but people, thousands of people around the country and maybe around the world that have spent time here, either they grew up here or they spent their summers here, have this tremendous love and affection for the place of Brant Rock, and most of them connect that with the area on the Esplanade. And so anything we can do, and I think we've begun that work. We have a lot more to do. We've begun the work of reconnecting people with that pride, so as they drive by and walk by, they say, wow, this is exactly how I remember it.
I think it's brought to them a very clear voice. I think it's brought to them steady leadership, and I think it's brought to them a team that has significant experience in working longer term projects that require constant communication, right? And fruitful communication, the art and science of the communication. I think this is what we're bringing to it, which is a vast change.
This concludes this month's edition of Beyond Ocean and Maine. Tune in next month. I'm Robert Goitis.
And I'm Sean Leary.
Thank you very much for watching.